Hi everyone, today is a long overdue update on my Series 3 109 Land Rover you can see behind me. So I've had some real bad problems with misfiring and the engine running extremely poorly. I actually did a previous video on this trying to sort it out, and I thought it was connected with some very dirty, perhaps old spark plugs. So today's video is me trying to sort this running out, get the engine running more smoothly. Also some gratuitous gentle off-roading shots, and I'll also show you around some of the other things I've been doing on the car, in particular some of the rust and what I've discovered there. I'm also having a better look at the paintwork, see what I'm dealing with there in terms of prep before I respray. It was a little difficult to start and there was quite a lot of black smoke. Once it got going, the idle speed settled down and was better after the adjustment with the carburettor, but just pulling away here, I still think there's quite a significant misfire problem. Yeah, there definitely is, as you can probably hear there. So parts have just arrived for a total ignition overhaul. Got coil leads, distributor cap, plugs, condenser, and what else did we get? Oh yeah, rotor arm. So I'm going to change basically all of the ignition system. I hope that it sorts the misfire and the running problem. Let's just unplug these. So the other thing I noticed on this one, not that it matters, is that the positive and negative are the other way around, the way it's the bracket's on. So I've just got to be careful that I connect the right leads when I put this in. So the new coil does come with a bracket. It's already fixed, which I hadn't realised when I bought it actually. The old one's fine, but I might as well just use this new one anyway. So we've got positive at the top. These contacts don't look great, to be honest. So probably another thing I should have bought new ones of. Right. So having got the coil on and fixed up to the distributor, I've also changed the rotor arm at the top here in case that was worn or faulty. It's an easy change. And I've got a new distributor cap here and all new leads attached to it, ready to change to the new spark plugs, including the main lead that comes from the coil as well. So these are all very simple fixes, obviously, and relatively cheap. I've also had a clean up of the carb. Didn't see any obvious problems with any of this, but these are the kind of simple things to do and try. Got the new spark plugs ready to put in and hook up to with the new leads to the distributor. So we'll get all that changed. This is the last bit I'm changing. Keep my fingers crossed and see how this goes. There's a little bit of rust around some of these, so slightly nervous they may not come out that easily. Obviously don't want to do any damage. So you can see what I mean, fairly rusty here. So they may well be functioning fine, but just the fact that they're this rusty makes me think they've been in here quite a long time, so definitely worth changing. You know, it doesn't actually look too bad at the top, not really that sooty or anything. So number 3 was a bit more difficult, so needed a bit more leverage with this. But it's coming out now. Just give these a quick clean before I put the new plugs in. Then stick the new plugs in. Just giving these a final gentle tighten. Careful not to do them too much. Then we'll get the distributor cap on and connect up the leads. There you go. So connect up the coil pack and the centre one. So we'll connect these up in the correct order. 1, 3, 4, 2. And 2. So what I didn't mention was I had to adjust these spark plug gaps before putting them in, just to make sure they were correct. We needed a bit of adjustment before sticking them in. So that is the easy bits on the ignition system changed. Not convinced it'll be this, but we'll give it a go. If not, it might well be something to do with the fuel system, which could be a bit more difficult for my skills, but let's keep fingers crossed and I'll give this a go. So moment of truth. So I used to be a real pig, even full of choke. It took quite a long time to start, and then chucked out a load of black smoke at the back, stuttered, stalled, and driving it kind of, yeah, it's like a loss of power, really hesitant. Anyway, let's give it a go first starting. That is so much better. Amazing. And then previously I had to give it a load of revs just to keep it running, so that's full choke. Obviously it'd take a bit to warm up. And let's have a look round the back and see if there's any of that horrible black smoke still. Look at that, that's much better. It's running nicely now, that's choked now fully in, it's starting to warm up, no black smoke, I'm so happy. So let's take it on a drive. That's much nicer, there's no hesitance or anything from the engine. So really happy, this seems to start and run really nicely now. Very glad it was a relatively simple fix, good to have this running back. We'll just try a warm start now and see if she starts again. Look at that, brilliant, first time. Sounds fairly smooth, not perfect, no stuttering. So really glad it was an ignition problem, but yeah, she's actually running really nicely now. The best I've had her running in the year I've owned her, I think. So just doing some gentle off-roading. It's a beautiful morning, just some pretty flat tracks. It's all pretty flat around me, but I always like to try out the low range and four-wheel drive every time I take my Land Rovers out, just to keep it all running and working. If you don't use them, they can start to get some issues, I guess. I hadn't realised actually how bad it had got. As I said, chucking out some really nasty black fumes at the back out of the exhaust, stuttering, very hard to start. Even once you got it running and on choke, you needed to keep using quite a lot of accelerator to keep her running until she was very warm. And then driving, it was really bad. So like a severe, I suppose, hesitation, I'd describe it as. Yeah, under load, it would be like almost so bad that someone was slamming on the brakes. It was that bad. Really pleased to have her back and running really nicely, actually, really smoothly. I didn't think she would run this well, I have to say. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy this trip out. Really pleased. So you can see here down the sides, I've started kind of sanding back, scraping some of this paint off. Also trying to investigate how thick this is. You know, I think this is many layers of paint, but actually I can possibly sand this back and make a smooth edge, no ridges in the paint to paint over, rather than sanding the whole thing back to bare metal is going to be really hard. I'll see if I can show you. This might not really come out, but just to show you how thick some of this paint is, you know, I'm going to have to kind of chisel this off, incredibly thick, so it's going to be very difficult to get off. This is obviously just scraping back to see what it's like. This was obviously a dink on the bulkhead. This was filled with filler, a bit of rust underneath, nothing bad. You know, also scraping off these bits here to check out the rust. Superficial, nothing worrying. But yeah, this is really just investigative work, you know, as I say, sanding back here, lots of different layers of paint over the years. Some of it really quite thick. Comes off a bit more easily off this galv part, and again just sussing out really to see if I can kind of merge in these multiple layers without having to strip everything right back. The jury is still out on that, to be honest. It will be an absolute nightmare to get the paint off these. So I'm actually debating taking these off, this checker plate off, and replacing it. Let me know your thoughts if you've got any suggestions on what else I could do with this, because this is obviously really messy and tatty. It comes off a lot more easily off some parts, like here around the windscreen, the door tops. It's coming off a lot more easily, but there's obviously a lot of work to do. You can see again at the front here how thick some of this is. This is just me trying to see what it's like. Comes off a lot more easily here on these bumperettes and the bumper, so there's some more filler here. I've taken the grill off here, as you can see. And the headlight surrounds, just you know, trying to scrape back and see what it's all like, what I'm dealing with here. There's a lot of work. You can see the last layers of paint that were put on. I don't think it was properly prepped because it's flaking off, so at least that top layer comes off easily. This door isn't the best. It's got some marks here. You know, I think this is I think this goes into the metal rather than just the paint. A hole here. And so actually I have got a new door. Well, a new door. A used Series 3 door. And so here is my door. I think this should just be a straight swap. Obviously needs painting, etc. But I think this should go straight on. I just got it at a Land Rover show, actually. You know, it's some superficial rust, but actually it's not too bad. That corner's a bit rusty, but nothing too bad. One of the major issues with this car is all of these bits of carpet it's been lined with. Presumably for insulation, but it just, as you can see, like holds the moisture. So this is not good. So I've started taking this off in various places. On the other door, for instance. This is where I've taken the carpet off here. You know, it's not too bad. Door bottoms, not actually as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, we'll get all this carpet off. You see all these bits inside where it can just sit and hold moisture. So this is what I'm getting on with today. Strip that back. This was a bit of a horrible state in here, actually. This is the passenger footwell. And actually, you know, this isn't quite as bad, although it's obviously rusty. It is superficial. It was covered with kind of gunk and paint, and it was a pretty horrible state, actually. So I've scraped that back just to clean it up and see what I'm really dealing with. This side's not too bad. The same was true of the driver footwell. Horrible condition, just so much gunk, etc. So I've taken it back. This bit's not so bad. It already had a tiny hole, and as I've scraped back, I have made bigger holes. Basically, this is pretty rusty. This side of the footwell isn't so bad. This side is obviously dodgy. This is going to need some welding at some point. I'll wait until I've sorted the car out a bit more. I can't weld. There's a bit up here on the bulkhead as well, not great. So we'll see. I don't know whether it's possible to just put in a plate. Is that easier so you don't have to take the wing off, etc. I know someone who would have a look at this and possibly weld this, but any suggestions welcome. Just trying to minimise the expenditure and time on this car. Time is my main factor, but if it has to be taking wings off, etc., it's obviously a lot more difficult. So yeah, grateful for any thoughts on that. So I had a bit of a tidy up under here with the chassis and the springs. Not particularly good light to see this. They're okay, bit rusty. I don't think there's anything too severe on the chassis though, so that's good news. All coated, so I ultimately want to scrape this back and redo it just to be sure that I'm not missing anything bad with respect to rust. I also have a 1959 Series II Land Rover and an ex-British Army Land Rover Defender Wolf. I've got several videos of both of those cars on my channel, so please do have a look for those and check them out if you're interested. I'll link a couple at the end of the video, and thank you very much for watching.